You've traveled a long way, and I understand the idol is important to your people. I sympathize with you, Mr. Mandak. However, the exhibit will open tomorrow on schedule.
Rava must not be desecrated.
The idol will not be damaged, will not even be touched.
The face of Rava is not for the unbeliever.
I'm only the director of the museum. I cannot cancel the exhibit. As the chairman of the executives, Mr. Jameson, the board of trustees, I have to answer to all of them.
And they will answer to Rava. I warn you, Professor Rustin, unless Rava is returned to Khalistan, you will feel his wrath.
You mean the famous curse of Rava?
You mock him.
Oh, no, I mean no disrespect to your religion. It's just that I find it hard to believe in curses.
I warned you.
She's just a student who works here part-time.
I know who she is. Possibly better than you do. If you persist in treating our God as a carnival freak, he will do more than just warn you, Professor Rustin. Much more.
Sorry, pal. No cameras.
Oh, I'm
Parker from the Bugle.
Oh.
What's going on here?
Oh, they're picketing the Calistani exhibit in the main gallery.
Oh, yeah, I heard something about that. You're displaying Rava, the Calistani god of death?
That thing has the ugliest face I've ever seen. How can anybody get down and worship a thing like that?
Well, maybe they're afraid not to.
Oh.
You wait here.
Did I scare you?
Well, as a matter of fact, yes, you did.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize you were so engrossed in your work.
Well, he's a pretty engrossing old boy. What's wrong?
You mustn't touch him.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry, I forgot. My name is Peter Parker. I'm a photographer with the Bugle.
Trina Pandit.
Do you work here?
I'm a student assistant curator. I'm translating the inscription at the base of the idol.
Oh, well, then you must be from exotic Calistan.
No, exotic Kansas. But my grandparents are from Calistan. They came to farm a long time ago.
Well, that's kind of like the Wizard of Oz, but in reverse. You know, I'm a student here myself. I'm a grad student in physics. I'm just a photographer part-time. How come I've never seen you around?
It's a big university.
Not that big. Who's next?
I thought this job was boring.
tore loose when Spider-Man was swinging on it.
Maybe, but that doesn't explain all the shaking just before it happened.
What do you think caused it, Professor?
I don't know. I'm an art historian, Captain. Ask young Parker there. Physical sciences are his field.
How about it, Parker? Could an earthquake have caused all this?
Well, certainly if we were in California. But there's never been an earthquake recorded in Manhattan.
Thanks, Parker. You're a big help.
My God, John, what's happened here?
Calistanis, Jonah. I told you we'd have trouble with them.
And I told you that we were not going to be pushed around by some splinter group of fanatics from a two-bit country halfway around the world. Parker, what are you doing here?
This is the university, sir. I go to school here, remember?
Jonah, I think we should cancel the exhibit. That idol is a religious symbol to these Calistanis. We don't have the right.
Right? We have more than a right. We have a contract with the legitimate government of Calistan to do this exhibit. We're the only museum in the country that'll have the idol.
I have a feeling this is just the beginning.
You believe in that curse business, don't you?
I don't know what I believe anymore. A piece of ornamental stone couldn't fall, but it did.
You probably don't believe that you can lose your job here. But you can.
Don't threaten me, Jonah. I don't wish to be disrespectful of the dead, but I don't care how much money your wife raised for this museum. She didn't own it, and neither do you.
I want the doors to this museum open to the public as soon as this mess is out of the way. You understand that? All right, what are you standing around here for? Get this place cleaned up.
Wait till you see some of these, Mr. Jameson. I've got some real winners here.
Parker, I can't print these.
But you always say that pictures like these are what sell newspapers.
Not my newspapers. Parker, don't you know that my wife was a patron of that museum? You realize that I'm now chairman of the board of trustees? Why would I want to give the museum this kind of publicity?
But you always say to report the news as it happens, no matter who's
Stop
involved.
telling me what I always say.
Well, I suppose I can always do something else with these.
Like what?
I took these pictures on my own time. That gives me the right to do whatever I want with them.
Parker, you would sell those to a rival paper. Where's your loyalty?
Mr. Jameson, I'm just a poor graduate student who's trying to squeeze by as a low-paid part-time photographer. Now, these are good. They're really good. I was the only photographer there, so that makes these an exclusive. I think somebody will buy them from me, don't you, sir?
Rita,
Yeah, boss.
we're buying some pictures from Parker and the negatives. Authorize payment, will you? I'd throw in a $50 bonus.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Jameson. That's very generous of you.
Get out of here, Parker.
Wow, I am impressed. I am very impressed. You know, the last guy that got $50 out of Mr. High Roller that easily was the guy that mugged him in Central Park last summer.
Oh, really? You have the chief all wrong. He's really a very fair man. You just have to know how to talk to him.
Pete, why do I get the feeling you're conning me? Oh, Mr. Jameson, the professor's in the main gallery.
Thank you. John, what is it that's so serious here that we can't discuss it over the phone?
I have to convince you, Jonah. We have to get that idol back to Calistan or something terrible's going to happen. I'm scared.
Well, I'm not. I may not be from Missouri, but if this curse business is for real, you're going to have to show me. That guy with all those arms could make a fortune in a circus.
Get away from him. It's the curse of Rama. I told you.
One more time, please.
Well, the lights kept flickering on and off, see, and suddenly they went out completely, and I heard Rustin scream. Then there was this crash, and then the lights came back on, and there was Rustin lying right there with the idol on top of him. Yeah, but John, that thing must weigh half a ton.
Think it was the curse?
Nah, of course not.
Then how do you explain it?
I don't know. You're the detective. You figure it out.
I think maybe I have. Either of you ever see any tables slide across the floor by themselves? Or shields fly off the wall? Or this statue dancing on its pedestal?
What are you getting at?
There's another way all this could have happened, you know.
No, what are you suggesting?
Mr. Jameson, I wish there was some other explanation, but you had a motive. Several witnesses, including me, saw you and the professor argue.
You're saying that I tried to kill him? Oh, come on. Call the hospital. Ask Rustin. He'll tell you.
I have a man down there, but Professor Rustin, he's in pretty bad shape. I don't think he's going to be talking to anybody for a long time, if ever.
I don't believe this. I want to talk to my lawyer.
You can call him from the precinct.
Now, wait a minute.
Please, sir. Don't make me use the handcuffs.
Oh, this is ridiculous. I want my lawyer! Get me out of here!
Don't worry about a thing, Mr. Jameson. Your lawyer's on his way.
What are you doing here?
Well, Rita called me.
Why?
Oh, she thought maybe I could help you.
Well, what am I worrying about? Here I am in jail, accused of attempted murder, 3 days before a stockholders' meeting where I have to fight off some pirate who's trying to take over the paper. Look who's on my side. College kid who runs around with a camera hanging on his neck, and a lawyer that nobody can even find.
Captain, Mr. Jameson wouldn't kill anybody. This whole thing is just crazy.
Yeah, you want to know what else is crazy? Read that.
Is this Mr. Jameson's statement? The table slid at them by itself?
Do you realize who I am?
Yes, a very important man. That's why I'm recommending that the DA sleep on it before deciding whether to charge you or not. Of course, you'll probably have to spend the night in jail.
What?
Well, that's good, sir.
Parker, I don't see anything good about this. If I lose control of the paper, you'll probably lose your job. You've thought of that, haven't you?
No, I mean, it's good that Captain Barbera's recommendation counts for so much. When he finds out that the Bugle is doing an in-depth profile on him, and he realizes that his treatment of you will have a direct bearing on the tone of that article.
Article on me?
Well, I'm sorry. I saw the memo on Rita's desk. It's one of your better ideas, I must say.
Oh, yes. Yes. Thank you.
You know, maybe I better call the DA. It would be a shame if Mr. Jameson had to spend the night here if it really wasn't necessary.
Are you sure he won't mind if you call him this late?
Trust me.
amaze me.
You know, son, that story about Captain Barbera, that isn't a bad idea at all. Yeah, I think I'll put Myers on it. And you can handle the pictures.
Oh, that's terrific. Thank you, sir. But first, we've got to get you cleared for that stockholders meeting.
Yeah.
Mr. Jameson, I've got your car parked right out front.
What do you want dressed up for?
Now, you didn't want me driving around in your rolls in an old housecoat, did you?
Well, actually, I didn't want you driving around in it at all.
You know, tell the truth. Your getting out early kind of messed up my plans. See, I had this date with this guy I know over in Jersey. We were going to strip your car.
You know, I half believe she was.
Hello. What are you doing here?
I told you the university wasn't that big.
But how'd you know I'd be coming this way?
Because your next class is in the Chem building, which is right over there.
How'd you know that?
Oh, a good reporter never reveals his sources.
Oh, you checked my class card at the ad building.
Now, you see, you could be a reporter, too. Trina, you were there at the museum the night that Mr. Jameson went to meet Professor Rustin. Are you certain they were alone?
All I know is I didn't see anyone. I locked the door before I left.
Well, now, what's the big deal about Rava back in Calistan?
Calistan used to be ruled by the high priest of Rava.
That's it? That's why the idol is so important?
Well, the members of the cult were the fiercest warriors in the country.
Oh, so that's how the cult held power. I understand they used to worship death.
Not really. They believed that death in battle was the way to a place of honor in the next life. Peter, why are you asking me all these questions?
Because I'm trying to help Mr. Jameson. And because you're the only expert on Calistan I happen to know.
I'm no expert on Calistan.
Well, you translated the inscriptions on the idol.
Look, the cult was overthrown and the high priest banished 50 years before I was even born.
So, you mean to say the cult doesn't exist?
I didn't say that.
So it does exist. Trina, what are you afraid of?
I'm not afraid of anything. I'm just concerned about what happened to Professor Rustin.
Suppose the cult did get their hands on the idol and took it back to Calistan. What would happen?
The high priest would declare a holy war and try to regain power.
Civil war. Have they ever tried that before?
Rava's always been very carefully guarded. As a matter of fact, this is the first time the government has ever allowed the idol to leave the country.
Which means this is the first time the cult has had a chance to get their hands on it.
I wouldn't know about that. Look, I'm going to be late. I have a class.
But Professor Rustin said that our God would be returned to Calistan.
Well, I hope you got that in writing, pal. Because we can't very well ask him now, can we?
You must return Rava to his people.
Hey, don't tell me what I must do. This could turn into a murder investigation. This statue here is evidence. It's not going anywhere.
No Rava's revenge.
Yeah? Well, if I'm ever in Calistan, I'll remember not to drink the water. Get out of here. I wouldn't worry about those guys. I'll tell you what, I'll have the cruisers in the area make a couple extra rounds, okay?
Thanks a lot, Captain. Sure make me feel a lot better.
Where's your phone?
Oh, right this way.
Captain! Captain, can I talk to you? Look, you have got to make sure that the idol of Rava doesn't get back to Calistan. I mean, it could cause a civil war, with Calistan sitting right between Russia and China.
Relax, Parker. I already talked to some fruitcake who said he was from the Calistani consulate.
Captain, did he threaten you?
No, but he said that statue of Smiling Jack in there was going to get me. You notice how scared I am.
I wouldn't take that lightly if I were you, sir. Look what happened to Professor Rustin.
You too? Parker, don't you have to oil your slide rule or something?
Well, I really think you
No.
ought to...
Thanks. Had to be a Barbera sandwich.
If I hadn't pulled out the bologna.
Hey, come back here.
worst idea I ever heard.
Well, it seemed like a good idea at the time. You liked it.
Sure. That was before Rustin slipped into a coma. You know what this is going to look like to the stockholders of the newspaper?
Jameson, you're not guilty.
It doesn't matter. If I'm not at that meeting for any reason, especially if I'm in jail, I'm going to lose the paper.
We can't let that happen.
We? There's nothing we can do about it.
Mr. Jameson, do you remember those pictures that I took at the museum? Could I have another look at those, please?
Why?
I got a shot of one of the demonstrators. Now, I think this man was involved.
They're all involved. Have you been talking to the Bulletin or the Dispatch? I see. You're the first of the rats to leave the sinking ship. Is that it?
I would never do any such thing.
I paid you more than I should have for those pictures. They're mine. Nobody's going to see them.
Why does that man have to be so stubborn?
That's probably what got him where he is.
I mean, he is in jail, and he still thinks he knows all the answers. If that's what it takes to be rich, I'd rather stay poor.
Honey, you work for Mr. Jameson long enough, you'll get your wish, for sure.
We have got to help him. Now, I have to get some of those pictures that I sold to Mr. Jameson. Rita, I have a shot of one of the demonstrators. I am sure the man was involved.
Forget it, Pete. Now, he's got them and the negatives in his desk, and the office is locked. He locks it whenever he leaves.
Well, why does he do that? You're always here.
Who do you think he is worried about?
Rita, isn't there some way this could be arranged? Our jobs are at stake. Oh.
Well, listen, honey, now that you put it that way, oh, yes, there is a way it can be arranged.
Yeah, he's one of them. They said they were from the calisthenic consulate. What makes you think this guy has anything to do with Rustin's accident?
I guess you could just say I've got a feeling about him. Every time he's around, something bad happens.
Really? I could say the same thing about you.
Well, you had a run-in with him. Did anything strange happen to you?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I did. It wasn't for...
If it hadn't been for who? Well, what happened to you, Captain?
Nothing happened, Parker. Forget it.
Well, something certainly happened to Mr. Jameson.
Okay. Just for the sake of argument, say something did happen to me.
Something like the things that Mr. Jameson described.
Okay, Parker, okay. Just tell me one thing. How could this Calistani have pulled it off?
I don't know. But if something strange had happened to me, I'd want to find out how.
It's interesting that you called. I was following this case anyway. Have you ever heard of telekinesis?
The ability to move objects with the mind, sure, but I thought it was mostly a theory.
Oh, telekinesis exists. There's too much data to deny it. I get reports every week here of people who can perform telekinetic feats. There are people who, on command, in front of a live TV camera, can move objects on a table.
Or make images appear on a photographic negative.
Exactly. The most powerful telekinetic minds can bend steel bars with just the force of their minds.
Doctor, have you ever heard of something called teleportation?
Yes, but that's just a theory.
Well, tell me, how does it work?
Well, it's a concept in which the mind of the teleport is able to change the molecular structure of an object in such a way as to make it seem to disappear from one location, transport it over a distance, return it to its original form, making it seem to materialize in a second location.
Mr. Jameson didn't mention anything about any objects disappearing.
Well, the phenomena he described only sounds possible if he encountered an individual with an incredibly advanced telekinetic gift. But I've never heard of anyone having the power as strongly as you described.
But if he did have it that strongly, he could do all the things that Mr. Jameson described.
Oh, absolutely. Theoretically, the extent of the power is limitless. If you'd like to know more, why don't you flip through these books?
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Keller. I really appreciate it. Thank you, sir. Oh, hello, Captain. You going to take a class?
Sure. I may even go back to school full time.
Good. Maybe I can get you into my fraternity.
Hey, Doc, can I talk to you a minute?
You know who I am.
I know who you claim to be.
You have seen my power. Could any man but his high priest have such power?
Only if the old legends are to be believed.
You do not have much respect. I had heard that you were more American than Calistani.
I am only American. I've never been to Calistan.
But it is in your blood. After all, your grandmother was a daughter of the last high priest of Rava. Then you also knew that I would be coming to you for help.
I will not help you destroy a Calistan that 70 years of peace has allowed her to become.
You will do as I say. Thank you. I knew you would see it my way.
I opened up this morning at 9 a.m., just like always. Then I shut off the alarms and opened up.
Were all the alarms in working order?
Oh, they worked perfectly. I can't understand it.
Was the idol the only thing that was taken?
Parker, what are you doing here?
I was on my way to class when I saw your car. Doesn't this prove that Mr. Jameson was innocent?
Certainly not.
You know, Captain, there could be international repercussions over this.
Yeah? Well, don't you worry about it, Parker. I'll find it.
Have you questioned those Calistanis that tried to take the statue from you?
Well, that's a terrific idea, Parker. Talk about your international repercussions. You want me to waltz up to the Calistani consulate and accuse them of robbery? That'd look great in the papers.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Sir, how many sets of keys to the museum were there?
Well, we have 2 sets in security, and Dr. Rustin had 2 sets of keys. Maybe there's a record in his office of who has that other set.
Well, what are we waiting for?
Trina?
Well, twice in 1 week. I guess the university isn't as big as I thought it was.
Trina, I have to talk to you.
Sure, but I've got a class. Can it wait?
Rava was stolen last night.
That's terrible.
I think you had something to do with it.
I'm going to be late.
You told me that you locked up the museum the night you let Mr. Jameson in. The police will find out that you've got a set of keys. It's just a question of time. But we don't have much time. Do we, Trina?
No. I'll be taking the idol back to Calistan tonight.
Was this the man? Who is he?
His name is Mandak. He's the high priest of Rava.
Why did you help him?
I had to. He's got a kind of power.
Yeah, I know. It's called telekinesis. He can make things happen with his mind.
That's how they choose the high priest.
Whoever has the greatest power gets the job. The other night, at the museum, when Mandak and Professor Rustin were arguing, were you there?
He made the idol shake. He made a scimitar fly at the professor.
And he made a stone object fall. And everything Mr. Jameson said happened really did happen.
Certainly he made the idol fall on the professor, too.
Well, then why don't you go to Captain Barbera and tell him all that so Mr. Jameson can get out of jail? Look, maybe Professor Rustin will get better, and maybe he'll clear Mr. Jameson, but that isn't going to happen for a while. There's a meeting tomorrow of the stockholders of the newspaper. If Mr. Jameson isn't there, he will lose control of the Bugle. You have got to do it now.
I should have done it already, but I was afraid of Mandak. Oh, Peter, I'm so ashamed.
Don't be. Everybody will realize how hard it was to stand up against that kind of power.
So I want to check on the location of every Calistani in the city. Then call the Immigration Service. Call the State Department. 10-4. Out. Why, what? Great.
You, but I had to talk to you. I have something important to say.
You could have phoned.
Would you have believed me if I called and said I was Spider-Man?
You got a point. What kind of information?
The idol of Rava was stolen by a man named Mandak. It's being held at the Calistani consulate.
It might as well be in Calistan. I can't go busting in their consulate without some pretty heavy evidence.
I know that. But if you happen to be at the rear of the consulate tonight, about 11, you just might find the idol sitting on the curb.
Yeah, they're just going to give it back like that?
Not exactly. Just be there tonight at 11. You'll see.
You'll get yours one of these days, you web-headed.
Desecrated Rava, you will feel his wrath.
Parker.
Oh, Mr. Jameson, how did it go at the stockholders' meeting?
Oh, I think you could say I sunk that pirate. It was beautiful.
So you're still in control of the newspaper?
Well, there was never any doubt about that. Once I got out of that ridiculous jail.
Oh, I'm sorry about that, sir. I was doing my job.
You did an excellent job, Captain.
I thank you, sir. I'd like to take all the credit, but I have to admit I couldn't have pulled it off without Spider-Man.
Oh, well, he'd be delighted to hear you say that, Captain. Do you mind if the Bugle quotes you on that?
Not on your life. I'm not giving any recognition to some freak who runs around in a red and blue union suit.
Mr. Jameson, what's the latest on Professor Rustin's condition?
Oh, I called the hospital after the meeting. He's much better.
That is great news. By the way, Captain, whatever happened to Mandak?
Well, it looks like he's going to be all right. But the Calistanis have granted him diplomatic immunity for some reason.
Why?
I don't know.
Could it be that the government of Calistan has plans for him and his cult of Rava?
I see what you mean. Well, Mr. Jameson and Captain, why don't you both step in here next to the idol, and then I can take a picture of it.
Excellent.
Okay.
How about right here?
Yeah, why don't you come in close?
Mm-hmm. This is one picture that's sure to make the front page of the Bugle.
Really? At front page rates.
Yeah, at front page rates.
The Tobald Award Selection Committee is coming right here to New York?
Yes, some of them have already arrived.
To win the Tobald Award is the dream of every scientist.
Yes. And you know, I've got a hunch that for the first time in 75 years, we're finally going to have an American winner.
What an honor to be selected.
And what a story. Here are some pictures of the first recipients of the award. And here are stories of the award ceremonies. Study those. And here, this is Ketya here. This is Reichman. These are the first two members of the committee to arrive in New York. They're staying at the Blackwell. And this is Dr. Carl Benson. He's the chairman of the selection committee. Now, we're going to split up our forces. Howard, you and Lazario take Smith and cover Professor Kaplan. And Parker, you're going to meet Charlie at the Institute for Genetics Research. Dr. Moon has his lab there. Have any questions? No? All right, then let's get going. Well, Parker, what are you waiting for? Personal invitation?
No, I was just wondering, isn't there supposed to be some kind of animosity between Dr. Moon and the Tobald Committee?
Well, I don't know. Why should there be?
Well, they've passed him over year after year for 5 years now, and he's certainly well qualified.
Maybe you and Charlie can get an answer to that when you see him at his press conference.
Press conference?
Yeah. He's going to show some of his experiments.
Well, does that mean he's discovered something new?
Yes. I think he's discovered the power of the press.
Do you know what he was into? Cloning.
What's cloning?
It's a new dance that Parker's going to teach me. What did you want?
To remind you that you're due downstairs in 5 minutes for the layout meeting.
Layouts, of course. Yes, excuse me. Don't be late, Parker.
Oh, don't worry, Mr. Jameson. I'll be there.
Pete, what is cloning?
Well, it's a process in which body cells reproduce by division. It's a form of asexual reproduction.
Oh, what?
You know how we have two parents and get some of our personality from each one?
Yeah.
Cloning would produce offspring from just one parent, so there'd be only one personality.
You mean I could have a baby all by myself and it would be me?
Theoretically, yes.
I don't think that's such a good idea.
You know something, Rita? Neither do I.
Germans.
Barbarians.
Dr. Ketya, Dr. Reichman, please. Can't the distinguished members of the Tovald Committee do anything but quarrel?
How can one quarrel with a man that has the taste buds of a...
Now, now. Unless you want to stay up here and starve, I suggest... Oh, my list. I promised the manager I would bring him a list of the full committee. I must have left it in my room. Please excuse me. You go ahead. I'll meet you in the dining room.
Oh, no. We will wait.
No. You go ahead. I'll see you in a minute.
Fish eggs.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Please bear with me. You won't be sorry. If my experiment goes well, you'll have a story that'll push everything else off the front page. Bear with me a moment while I make a few minor adjustments. I'd like you to meet my partner in this endeavor.
What? Your partner?
A member of the order Salientia.
Family Ranidae.
That's correct, young man.
It's Parker. Peter Parker.
Weren't you in one of my classes at the university?
Yes, sir, Zoology 422.
Now I remember.
What is this, a family reunion here?
Now, this is a blood cell my partner kindly donated a few hours ago. I prepared the cell by bombarding it with radiation. In a moment, I shall place this cell in the incubator you see here, and within a very few hours, this single cell will grow into an exact duplicate of its donor.
You're talking about cloning.
I said what you're about to see will make traditional cloning obsolete. This cell will reproduce without a substitute mother, as you call it. The only mother the frog I'm about to create will ever know is this incubator. Present and the future. Questions?
Dr. Moon, the Toval Award Committee is arriving from Europe in a couple of days to decide whether an American scientist should be awarded a prize this year.
Correct.
Now, for the past 5 years, they have ignored you, haven't they?
To be honest, I would welcome a visit by the award committee. And should they pay me such a visit, I may have a few surprises for them that would make this experiment in frog cloning look like child's play.
Dispatch, this is Patrolman Riley at the Hotel Blackwell. Captain Barbera's on the scene. He's requesting a team from the lab and an elevator inspector.
Got it. Tell the captain they're on their way. Riley, is it a bad one?
Yeah, real bad.
File a report and let me know.
Dr. Ketja and Dr. Reichman were the first members of the Toval committee to arrive. I was just taking them. They are lucky to have survived.
They're very lucky. What's your function on the committee, Miss Benson?
My grandfather is chairman. He sent me on ahead to make the necessary arrangements.
Captain.
Excuse me. What? So that's it? The cable just broke?
A 1 in a million accident. We just inspected this elevator 3 days ago.
Hey! No pictures. Parker, what are you doing here?
Well, Captain, I picked up the message on the police channel. And there's something about that
I
cable.
said no pictures. I'll call a press conference when I'm ready. Here, go play someplace.
You know what you can get Mr. Jameson for his birthday? A big silver platter. Because he wants to put your head on it.
What did I do?
Parker!
What's going on?
Why should I tell you and spoil all his fun?
Hello, Mr. Jameson.
Not one picture here. Not one lousy picture.
Sir, there are 3 rolls of pictures here of the cloning experiment.
Frogs? Frogs are page 2 news, Parker. Elevator crashes are page 1. Now, where are your pictures of the elevator crash?
Oh, well, Captain Barbera exposed all my film.
Parker, you listen to me, and you listen good. Now, if you insist on sticking your nose in where you haven't been assigned, and that's what you did when you went to that hotel, then I expect pictures from you, and I don't care how you get them. Barbera, no Barbera, you understand?
Sir, how am I supposed to...
Don't ask me how, that's your job.
I did my job when I got the pictures of the cloning experiment.
Frogs! When you've seen one frog, you've seen them all. Action, violence, elevator crashes. That's what sells newspapers. You hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
I hope so. Now, the Science Foundation is throwing a costume ball to raise money for their scholarship fund. The guests of honor are going to be members of the Torvald Committee. But don't you bring me any pictures of old men with beards. Beautiful people. Romance. Glamour. That's what sells newspapers.
But I thought you just said that violence and action sells newspapers.
I hope you're being funny.
Do I have to wear a costume, too?
Do you have to? Yes, Parker, you do.
Okay. I'll have Rita fill out a voucher so I can rent one.
I think you're joking. What you wear on an assignment is your expense, not the newspapers.
Rent a costume on my salary?
Well, then borrow one from one of your classmates. Lord knows they look like they're wearing costumes all the time.
But, Mr. Jameson, you don't understand.
Parker, any more arguments out of you, and I'll have your
Yes,
head.
I know, sir. On a silver platter.
And this is one of his better days.
You did this. We both did it. You wanted them to die, didn't you?
No, never.
Admit it, you hated them.
No, not to try to kill them.
But I was created out of you, from one of your cells. I am you.
No, something went wrong.
But I have your mind. My thoughts must be your thoughts.
Only part of my personality came through. We're like Jekyll and Hyde.
But through me, you'll be free to do the things that you've always wanted to do instead of shoving them down, denying them the way you do. You want revenge. You want 7 men on that committee to die for rejecting you and humiliating you.
I may have thought about it in a moment of bitterness, but
I was wrong in what I've tried to do.
And I'm going to make sure that you don't leave this room. You can't lie to me because you can't lie to yourself. You want them dead. But thanks to me, you're going to get your wish.
Well, sir, I just want to rent a costume. I don't want to buy a custom-made suit. Yes, yeah, I know all about the ball tomorrow night. So does every other place in town. But you see, my job depends on me being able to get... Yeah, you're right. That is my problem. Yeah. Thank you. Every costume house in town is completely sold out.
Oh. You know, it's too bad you don't have some nice girl who could sew up one for you. But what do girls nowadays know about sewing? Child, my mama made sure
That's it, Rita. Why didn't I think of that before?
You have a girl?
You might call it that, yeah. Thanks, Rita. Aunt May, I'm sorry to put you to so much trouble.
Trouble? It won't be any trouble. I'd love it. Do you remember, Peter? I used to make all your costumes for Halloween. Ghosts, goblins. Oh, you know, I think maybe your old skeleton costume is still in the attic.
I love you, but really, I was thinking of something maybe a little more grown up.
Well, what kind of a costume would you like me to make?
Doesn't matter, just whatever's easiest.
Tarzan? No, you'd catch your death of cold. Now, Frankenstein. Oh, no. You never could stand the sight of blood. Here, you wait right there. I'll go get my tape measure.
Dr. Carl Benson, chairman of the Tovald Award Selection Committee, expressed his deepest regrets to the families of the injured scientists. Dr. Carl Benson. Carl Benson is staying at this hotel?
Yes, but he's out at the moment. But if you'd like to talk to Miss Benson.
No, I wouldn't want to bother Miss Benson. Not at the moment. Thank you.
Dr. Moon?
Mr.
It's still Parker, Peter Parker.
Of course, Mr. Parker.
Doctor, I thought your experiment last night was absolutely brilliant.
Yes, you were one of the reporters.
Well, one of the photographers, to be exact.
If you'll excuse me, I have an appointment.
Dr. Moon, good luck with the selection committee.
Thank you, Mr. Parker.
Front desk.
Yeah, my name is Peter Parker. I have an appointment with a Miss Lisa Benson. What is her room number, please?
That's 812.
Thank you.
Dr. Moon? Yes, I know him. You say he was in the lobby and he didn't come up to see me?
Is he a friend of yours?
Oh, much more. When I was a little girl, he and my father used to work together at the Institute in Stockholm. Such a good, kind man. He was very close to my family. It's just a shame that his work... You said you weren't here as a reporter, Mr. Parker.
No, I'm investigating the elevator accident.
I don't understand.
Well, I'm working with a private investigator, and what puzzles us about this accident is why these two particular men?
It must be political. Both men had many enemies in their own countries.
Then why wait until they come to America?
It doesn't make much sense, does it?
No. Miss Benson, I know this may sound a little bizarre, but just suppose that somebody was out to get the whole committee, and this accident was just the first step.
That's a terrible thing for you to say.
The committee was the only possible connection between these two men.
Both these men have been on the committee for 5 years. This is longer than anyone except my grandfather. Now, if being on the committee would lead to this, then... No, you cannot be right. One moment, please. Would you excuse me, please?
I'll only take up another moment of your time.
Goodbye, Mr. Parker.
Goodbye, miss.
Hello? Dr. Moon? Well, someone told me you were in the lobby. Why didn't you come up?
I'll explain why when you meet me, but you must come immediately. And without your security guard.
Why? I'm not allowed to go anywhere without him.
This is very important, especially to your grandfather's safety. Now, do anything you can. Send the guard on an errand. Go down the service elevator. But meet me at this address.
Taxi? Oh, Dr. Moon, it is so good to see you. You look tired. What is it? What's wrong?
Whatever was wrong before is going to work out beautifully now that you're here.
He's already tried to kill me. Isn't that proof enough for you?
I don't know what to think.
You know, if this is how Dr. Moon shows how much he loves you, just be glad he's not your enemy.
There must be some explanation.
Oh, there is. He's trying to kill us. Ow!
What happened to your hand?
Don't worry about my hand. Just worry about how much oxygen is in this place.
It must be nearly morning. Surely if this is a bank, then people...
It was a bank, Miss Benson. You see, all the buildings on this street are empty. They're going to be torn down soon. But I don't think we can wait for the wrecking crew. Stand back, please. Come on, let's get out of here.
Thank you.
Let's get you to police headquarters.
What?
You're going to tell Captain Barbera what your friend Dr. Moon tried to do to us.
No, I have nothing to say to the police.
Do you think he was playing games with us in that vault?
I have nothing to say to you or to the police. I don't even know who you are. Why should I trust you? Please, just leave me alone.
Well, part of your story checks out. What happened to your hand?
Oh, I just scratched it in my lab. What were you saying about my story?
The lock on the vault in the old security building looks like it was put in a can opener. But Miss Benson denies ever having been in that building.
Well, sure, to protect Dr. Moon.
Nobody's gonna protect a man who tries to kill her.
Oh, yeah, she would. You see, Dr. Moon tried to kill those two scientists because they have denied him the Tovald Prize year after year. But they're not the only two men on the committee. Now, he's not going to stop, Captain, until he has gotten to every single man.
Parker, where were you when those two guys almost bought it in the elevator?
I was at the cloning experiment.
And where was Dr. Moon?
He was conducting the experiment.
Case closed.
No, Captain, I am sure about this. You see, Spider-Man...
Spider-Man? Is that where you get this dingy idea, Spider-Man? Parker, when you hurt your hand, I think it affected your brain.
Go on, sleep. I don't need you. I have your mind, your knowledge. I'm going to make sure that nobody stops us now. Not even Spider-Man.
Mr. Parker, this is, my grandfather.
Hello, Dr. Benson.
Please sit down.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Mr. Parker, Lisa tells me that you speak for this person called the Spider-Man.
I have had contact with him, yes, sir.
And he believes that Dr. Moon is going to try to kill me?
Dr. Benson, I wish you could convince your granddaughter to tell the police what happened to her last night.
And how do you know what happened to me last night?
I told you on the telephone, Spider-Man...
Was the one trying to hurt me.
No, you're wrong. You see, it was Dr. Moon.
No, Mr. Parker. I'm a scientist. My life is built on logic, and there is no logic in your accusations.
I'm a scientist, too, Dr. Benson. So can you tell me why your committee has denied him an award year after year?
How does that concern you?
I think the reason you passed him by might explain how he was able to be in two places at once on the night of the elevator crash.
Really? Now, this is ridiculous.
You were afraid of his experiments and where they were heading, and you didn't want to encourage him. Isn't that right, Doctor? You knew he wasn't going to stop at cloning a frog now, didn't you? He wanted to clone a man, didn't he, Dr. Benson?
I can't speak for Dr. Moon. If you want an answer to that question, you must ask him.
You know something? That's not such a bad idea. I was beginning to think you weren't here.
What is it? I'm very busy.
I wanted to talk to you when we met at the hotel.
Talk about what?
To discuss what a man like you goes through while he's sweating out the time to see if he's been chosen for the Tovald Prize.
You seem convinced it's going to happen this year.
After what I've heard and seen, I'd say you were a sure thing.
Such confidence. If I were so young and naive, I'd perhaps be able to enjoy these next few days.
Well, after they see what you've accomplished...
Based on past experience, I'll just be patient. If you excuse me, I'm busy with an experiment.
Oh. Here?
No, in my private laboratory.
Oh, well, this will only take a minute. Doctor, after seeing you clone that frog, I was wondering, do you think it'll ever be possible to clone a man?
I haven't time to waste on fantasy, Mr. Parker.
Is it fantasy? Dr. Moon, I have some theories that I would love to bat around with you. Now, maybe if I could stay and watch while you conduct your experiment.
I'm sorry, not tonight.
When?
When I'm less busy.
Don't forget now. I'll come back anytime.
Good night, Mr. Parker.
Good night.
Now we'll see who Spider-Man really is. Peter Parker. Mr. Parker goes to the head of the list. It's amazing. You have the same personality traits I do.
Don't you think Parker has a dark side, too? You know, I know Peter is no fashion plate. But these clothes are ridiculous.
They'll do until you get into a real costume. Does he keep them in his apartment?
Now, where else would we keep them?
Parker will be going to work soon. When he does, we've got to figure out a way to get into that apartment.
That's no problem. The janitor has a spare key. I wonder if there's anything about Mr. Peter Parker that I don't know.
While we're waiting, let's figure out exactly how we're going to use you.
Yeah, can we figure this out over breakfast? Well, that's what Parker would say. The guy's always hungry, isn't he? What about him?
He's got enough sedation to keep him till we need it. All right, Mr. Peter Parker, Spider-Man. Your first breakfast.
I told you it'd be a piece of cake. But I don't know why anybody would want to live in a place like this.
Well, let's get what we came for and clear out.
You know, it is really weird to know everything about an apartment you've never been in.
I'm gonna need this. And this. There isn't any utility belt.
Maybe he doesn't have a spare. But don't worry, I think I know where you can get one. Tobald Committee Costume Ball. That's it, the costume ball. As you'd say, a piece of cake.
You look just like Errol Flynn. Very dashing.
You made these?
Oh, no, I found it in the attic. Your Uncle Max bought it for a Halloween party. I just cleaned it up a bit.
Boots and all.
Don't you like it?
Oh, yeah, I like it. I love it, Aunt May. It's just perfect. What would I do without you?
Aren't you going to try it on?
Well, no, not right now. I've got to go.
Oh, but it'll just take a minute. I want to see if it fits.
Oh, I'm sure it fits. You know my size. How long have you been making my clothes?
Since you were that big. I remember how...
Oh, really, Aunt May, I have got to go. Mr. Jameson will just kill me if I don't get pictures of the guests arriving.
Oh, wait a minute, Peter.
What is it now, Aunt May?
I forgot part of your costume. Here it is.
It's perfect. It's just perfect. Thank you. That is not bad. How could you have done this to me? This never happened to Errol Flynn. I need a costume. I've got the perfect costume.
We know who you really are. Hey, relax, Pete. It's your reflex, whatchamacallit. It's a dead giveaway.
It's a beautiful costume, Rita.
Oh, you know, that would have sounded so much better if you'd have just said, you look beautiful, Rita. But I guess I'll just have to settle for what I can get. Hey, you better get on in there and get to work. Mr. Jameson has this thing about employees earning their keep.
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Huh. Miss Benson?
Until I came to America this time, I didn't know what a Spider-Man was. And now I see three.
Yes, but only one of us can tell you what the inside of a bank vault looks like. Oh, and my hand is much better.
It is you.
I hope so. Security men all over the place. Any sign of Dr. Moon?
Mister, I don't even know what to call you, but you're still wrong about Dr. Moon.
I have a feeling we'll find that out tonight. That's right, Peter. I'm you, and you're me, and this is a gun.
Now, don't try any tricks because I'm thinking with your mind, and I'm one step ahead of you all the way. So let's go outside and get a little air. Put your mask on. Move.
So, what's it going to be? Spider-Man tries one of his daring feats and fails, taking a fatal dive from the roof of the Hotel Blackwell?
We do think alike.
Well, almost.
Two down. Parker and Spider-Man, right?
Wrong.
Help me. Please, help me. Get Dr. Moore. Get him. This can't be happening.
What is it?
The acceleration process. I'm dying. As quickly as I was born. He can't help me know what can happen.
I'll tell him his plan for revenge didn't work.
Oh, it wasn't his plan. He had nothing to do with it. Make the committee understand. He's innocent.
Standby, 12X61, 2 calls. To the man, 415, 9417 Mandira.
Okay, Spidey, old pal. We find an old man up on the roof dead. We find Dr. Moon zonked out in his lab. Then we get a call from you telling us you'll tell us everything once we get down here.
Start talking. Get your hands off me, Barbera.
Captain Barbera to you, Spidey.
Mr. Jameson, I'll have your head on a silver platter.
Hold it.
Put that camera down, Parker.
But, Mr. Jameson, you said this is what sells newspapers. Action, violence.
Smile, Mr. Jameson.
Now, hold it, Mr. Jameson, just like that. One more.